So you mentioned consciousness initially, because that's also a big part of, that's the big sort of word that seems to be emerging with a lot of these things I've been listening to.
Hmm.
What is consciousness? Is it extend beyond the self? That sort of thing. Have you ever listened or read about any of the stories about this place in Utah called Skinwalker Ranch?
No.
It's this ranch in Utah. In the 90s, this rancher, his cattle were getting mutilated. And there were these spooky, ghostly things that were happening. And he had to get rid of it as he was losing a ton of money on it. And this aerospace billionaire from Las Vegas named Robert Bigelow made him an offer and bought it for like $400,000. And then he hired the rancher to stay on. And he turned the whole thing into a scientific research operation for like 10 years or something like that. You can look this up. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And I'll send you some podcasts about it too, the ones that I think explain it the best. And they got documentation of weird shit happening. Their cameras being destroyed like systematically, like whatever is there knew how to do it. There were sightings of things that resembled sort of kind of like Predator, where you can't really see it, but you recognize a wave.
Yeah. You see, there's a shimmer.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
shimmer,
Yeah.
and but then also orbs that would fly in and out of the ground.
Okay.
There was some of the security guards there observed portals being opened and like bright blue sky daylight on the other side. It was night here. They would see like a bright blue sky on the other side and things flying out of it, and then the portals closing. And this is all documented with this research team that Bigelow sent there.
Yeah.
Other crazy shit too. I mean, the fucking list. Every paranormal thing you could possibly conjure up, it happened. And then, so the U.S. government says, well, we would like to go to Skinwalker and check it out. And so the Pentagon sends a guy there. Of course, we all know that they're only after technology. If it's alien, you know, they don't know. The moment the guy sets foot on the land, he sees this technological device that looks alien, but he's the only one who sees it. And so the guy left and he made his report. He's like, whatever's there knew what I was there for before I even arrived. And it was fucking with me. And so out of all this, Bigelow, he didn't get technology for his aerospace company. He didn't really get much of anything tangible. What he ended up doing was dissolving the teams. He sold the land, and he immediately formed a new nonprofit to investigate the reality of consciousness. Something
Hmm.
about that whole experience pushed him towards researching consciousness rather than how we would typically want to investigate. Oh, we would just want
Yeah.
to figure out the
Like
technology behind it.
yeah, like I mean definitely you would think that somebody in that position would just go immediately to UFO conspiracies and turn
Yeah.
into like that David Icke lizard people sort of conspiracy thing.
But
Um
the thing is there
yeah.
was a component of that, but there was also demonic components. There was ghostly components. There was apparitions. There were nightmares. Like they were in the brains of everybody who was there, and they knew who was coming and why they were there. Like, and everybody there who had experiences would say the same thing. Like, whatever experience was tailor made for me, yada yada yada. And I can't prove any of it. Sorry, guys. You can never prove anything like that. But they did come out with some interesting stuff though, that the mosaic pointed to look at consciousness for the answer. And I think that's fascinating because he
Yeah.
immediately invested in consciousness research.
That is real. I mean, I think the most interesting thing about that is that you have, kind of, kind of like a one percenter almost, just sort of taking that initiative towards something that, you know,
He's the only
is
one.
yeah,
He's the
is
only
the
one who's acknowledged that one, we're not alone. We never have been. And the fact that we have a multi-billionaire with defense contracts running an aerospace company investing millions of dollars into this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he was the one that for a while had the contracts with the government. Whenever somebody filed a UFO report with MUFON or with the Department of Defense, his contract said that they had to hand over all those reports to him. He was the one that was contracted to investigate that stuff. Like he asked for it. He's like, I care
Yeah.
more about this stuff than any of you guys. And
What what's the name of that that philosophical thought that was it like you're the only person in the universe in a way? It's not Narcissus. I can't remember the name
there's
of
a
it.
few that I don't know the name of it, but there's a few that I've heard of where like there's one that's I find fascinating where there's one soul that lives every life.
Oh,
So
do
you and me are the same person but living.
I think we were both in Hollander's class. Do you remember that story that one of our peers brought in? That was it was the
Uh,
egg by Andy Weir who
uh,
wrote The Martian, because he that's like that whole story is like this guy dies and he meets God basically, and God's like, no, I'm you. You have been everybody that has ever lived. You've been Hitler and you've been every Jew that he exterminated.
yeah.
And and like the thing is, you are growing and you are the universe, and like, when you get to a point, you are going to be like a god in yourself. And it was like this like mind-blowing thing where like afterwards you're like, oh, where's the acid I just took? Just,
Yeah, I love that kind of philosophy because one, it forces you to confront something. Somebody else put that differently too in a lecture I was listening to where they're like, they did soul searching and they're like, did you know that all that at least some of your molecules were also part of George Washington? And they would also
yeah.
drop these Gandhi type names. And then this person was saying like, but what really hit it home is when I realized that if all that is true, then some of my molecules are also Hitler.